we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
All right, welcome to episode 133 of the Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. So, in spite of what the papers say, man, I am fucking low battery today, man. I've been meaning to record. I've been trying to record for like the last 2 days. Shit keeps coming up. People want things. And worst of all, dude, I hurt the shit out of myself the other day. I bowled a hammy. Oh, God. Like I did some kind of, like not a proper hammy, not a proper groin deal, but like somehow like an in-between those two things. Like just wrenched the shit out of it. And you know how sometimes you do something like that and it takes a couple days before you get the full benefit out of it. And dude, it took a couple days and this thing was like black and blue. It looked like I was turning black from the leg up or something. It was not cool. Anyway, I was working on that for a couple days and it's starting to fix, but like the whole deal, like actually trying to fix yourself, you know, like with the ice and the massaging thing and the Theragun and all that and the whole fucking deal. And like, all right, I guess I'm going to have to actually make an effort. But it is getting there, but it was making it hard as fuck to sleep. It was not cool. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend hurting yourself. So, you know, if you were thinking about it, don't do that. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to hit on some of the stuff that's going on because there is some stuff going on and there are things going on that's like, I mean, apart from just the Charlie Kirk thing, which is its own, I mean, it's become its own fucking universe almost with all kinds of shit and all kinds of weirdness. But I wanted to touch on some of that and mostly some of the things that have spun off of it and the way that our little tiny hat of friends have managed to grab onto it and really, I don't know, to their credit or not, really make the most of it. And then we got some good intermission Marcus posting. And then I wanted to do a little, I don't know, how could you say, like, kind of an esoteric thought exercise, like a what the fuck is the deal with this shit over here type thing. And then lastly, I want to close up with a couple thoughts on saving your shekels. And not even really so much saving as, like, making the most of, you know, your shekels. Because it's a fucking tightrope, dude. So first off, though, this like peripheral to the Charlie Kirk situation. I mean, dude, the fucking kid. I mean, it's the whole thing is so fucking bizarre to me. I mean, like I said before, dude, like it could come out tomorrow that like this person doesn't even exist. There's no such fucking thing. We completely made this person up out of whole cloth. And I wouldn't be surprised a fucking bit. I do not trust these people. They cannot be trusted. They've proven they cannot be trusted. And like nothing would fucking shock me. But as it stands, like here's the weirdness. Like check out this weirdness. So the way this story goes, and I'm not going to belabor this because probably everybody listening to this has already heard a lot of it. But the way this story goes, so far as it's being pitched right now, is that this Utah kid who was a former gun enthusiast, and I guess his mom had some pictures up like on the Facebook of him at like military day or ROTC day when he's like, I don't know, like 12 or some shit. And he's loving the guns, loves the shooting, this kind of shit. I don't know where this kid goes off the rails, but one way or another ends up shacked up with a tranny. I shit you not, and I'm sure I'm telling you something you've already heard, but I mean, it's so fucking nuts to me. And that's part of the reason I almost have to think, like, this is made up. There's no fucking way this is real. But ends up shacked up with a tranny, decides, okay, now a neighbor says that this neighbor saw numerous cars with out-of-state license plates hanging out over at the kid's house, and they how can you say, like, he was concerned. So I don't know if they were just having like a little tranny party or what the fuck was going on. Maybe they were fucking planning something. I don't know. But this is something that happened, just like that thing with the plane, that like some plane shut off its transponder. There was one report saying it had circled low around 300 feet. Then there was some total dog shit, conspiracy tarred, like flat earth caliber shit talking about it was a bomber, bro. It was a military bomber, bro. And it circled at like 300 feet, bro. And then it landed, bro. And I'm like, okay, well, no. Fucking no, dude. I've been on enough airplanes that it's like, under 1,000 feet, like these cats they're doing something. They're like landing or taking off or some kind of shit. Nobody's at fucking 300 feet just like fucking around. That's fucking nuts. There was talk that like, oh, they were using fucking drones or he was assassinated by a drone. And like, no, dude, I have been told that security element had their own drones for, keeping an eye on this, that, or the other. So there's a lot of wacky shit going on. Anyway, the story is that like this kid then decides that he's fucking had enough. And according to the police report that I read, this kid took like his dad's Mauser rifle, shoved it down his pants. So this is like your basic, think of like a hunting rifle looking deal. Like this thing ain't breaking down. This ain't some James Bond shit. This ain't like some suitcase gun. You stick it out a window and, some shit like this. It's not happening like that. This is like your standard hunting rifle. You ain't just pulling this shit apart. So he's got this thing, and the story is like the way this police report described it was that in the video you could see the guy walking along with one stiff leg, like a very recognizable gait. And I'm like, okay, like this is fucking stupid, dude. I don't get it. I don't see it, dude. Fucking maybe, I don't know though. I mean, like I see those fucking, the picture with like the pants. How did this fucking work? Because unless you're wearing like Janko jeans or whatever, like some big ass Soul Brother like no other, baggy ass pants, you're not fitting that whole fucking rifle and a big ass optic down your fucking pants and cruising around. Whatever, okay? This is just the story. So then the story is gets up to the roof, nobody sees him, gets in position, takes the shot on his own, right, all by himself. And as he does this, then that Jew, fucking what's his name, fucking George Zinn, that's what it was, just instinctively jumps up and starts yelling, it was me, and that's his fucking story. This guy ends up getting rolled later. Like they said, well, you don't know that? You sure? Yeah, you can look through my phone. You see, I don't know him. I ain't been texting him. And sure enough, he didn't text him, but he did have a whole shit ton of kitty porn in his phone. So I mean, you can't make this shit up, right? Anyways, he gets rolled for that shit. Some other guy, I guess they had picked up, and I don't know. I don't have anything further on that guy. But this was the story, though. Like this kid acted alone, and then you see him do the little spider drop deal off the side of the building. He runs off, and now this fucking this text message thing comes out where like you did the thing, you got away clean, and now your story is that, well, I just have to fucking text somebody. But not only text somebody with extremely clear timeline details, the whole thing, like a very fabricated sounding fucking thing, explaining to his tranny boyfriend, who is a dude, okay, so this makes you, what, a faggot, yes, how you did this fucking thing, and nobody else, oh my gosh, tell me it wasn't you, and nobody knew about it except me, I'm the only one, so there was some question about, well, what's the story with the fucking gun? Where was the gun when he dropped off the thing? Apparently it was wrapped in a towel, and he dropped it, and I don't know where. From the sound of it, what I want to think happened with that was it's wrapped all up in a towel to protect it. He dropped it over the side of the building he shot from into the bushes, and then he took off. And then he sat there watching for a while, and there was one car that kept hanging around, so he didn't go and get the the rifle and took off without it, and then was, texting his tranny boyfriend about, oh golly, I hope I get away with it. Oh gee, I hope they don't figure out that that's my dad's gun and my grandpa's optic and and then he said something to his tranny boyfriend about, and this is the weird part to me, was when it reported on the news, they're talking about how there were several bullets with bunny ears engraving on the cases that mentioned LGBT fucking faggot issues as well as Antifa related shit. So that was, like, to me initially it sounded weird, like engraving, like what? And I understood it to be like a Sharpie pen type shit. But now when he texts his tranny boyfriend, he's talking about, yeah, I remember when I was engraving those bullets, and I'm like, engraving? You keep fucking saying that. And it's fucking weird to me. Like, so am I led to believe that, like, what, you got one of them little Vibra fucking pens and like, like actually sat there and engraved this shit? And if that's the case, then how the fuck could anybody be surprised? They're like, oh my gosh, that thing that you sat there fucking engraving, working on for fucking hours. Oh, you actually went and did something? What the fuck, bro? Well, yeah, dipshit. But if it's just Sharpie, then it also kind of raises the question of like, well, wait, why are you guys both saying engraving? This isn't fucking engraving. This is just a Sharpie marker. So that whole thing to me seems very fucking sketchy. Anyway, in the aftermath of all this, like, that was just kind of a quick review. In the aftermath of all this has been a lot of discussion about who was involved, who sponsored this thing, who did do it, who didn't do it. As you would expect, and reasonably so, a lot of fingers pointing instantly at Mossad. They're like, I know you fuckers are up to something, right? And that is not a fucking stretch, because look at, like, fucking Lee Harvey Oswald. I mean, he's not like walking around with a big nose and side locks going, hi, I'm a fucking secret agent. Like, no, he's kind of a fucking dipshit. And this guy is like a carbon copy of that same model, like kind of a dumb fuck, kind of like, what's this guy's fucking deal, But sure enough, Lee Harvey Oswald turns out to be like, he's the fucking agency's man. And by extension, was very, very clearly Israel's man. So, not that, and that's, I guess, the thing is that he didn't take his orders directly from anybody wearing a tiny hat. But when you look at the way this whole thing fucking played out, like, well, who really got anything out of this? This was not some random shit. Maybe cooked up to look like some random shit, maybe designed really fucking well to leave it in the lap of one dumb fuck. But in all, there's not a fucking way where this went down, where this is like, oh yeah, there's just this fucking kook. Wow, it's crazy. One random kook managed to pull this off. Well, crazy things happen, I guess. What can you fucking do? Like, I don't fucking buy that shit. And I'm not saying like some big wazoo fucking crazy ass conspiracy thing neither. All I'm saying is, like, dude, we've all been in fucking chats. I mean, a lot of guys have. If you've been in our thing for any amount of time, you've been in a chat, or you've seen a chat, or you've definitely heard guys talking about where somebody will pop up in there and suddenly start fucking fed posting and like, somebody needs to fucking do something, right? Like, take them out, am I right? What do you say, guys? And like, what the fuck is this shit? Or just start spreading dissent and getting in the weeds about some weirdness or the religious thing where suddenly they want to fight. We need to fight. Fucking Christians, fucking dumb fucks. Oh, you stupid fucking pagan-ass LARPers. What the fuck? What the fuck is this? And you kind of recognize the hoof prints, right? So you know that these people are out there. You know that they're in there swinging. So to say that there's not maybe one level up of that, I mean, if you've run into them in a fucking Telegram chat or a Discord chat or some shit, you run into just some regular Joe, why the fuck would there not be at least one or two levels up where they're like, all right, you're going to specifically target these weak-minded fucking trannies, and here's what I need you to do, right? I need you to start steering. And it's not that they're picking out one guy, because I think that's where guys get hung up on this shit, is like, oh, what are you saying? Like, they actually spent time and money grabbing this, one dude. We're going to focus on this one dude, and we're going to get him to go do this fucking thing, and oh my goodness. No, dude, when you've got bottomless fucking funds, like the Mossad does, through all the money that they're siphoning in through the entire civilized world, including the U.S., and they're in there talking about like, all right, man, we need to get a motherfucker on the hook. You might have hundreds of motherfuckers in different tranny chats, different gay chats, maybe different gun kook chats. But interestingly enough, you would think that if you were going to get into like some hardcore shooting gun enthusiast type fucking chat, if you were brand new to this, maybe you would think that like, yeah, the guy's got a gun in his hand every day. He goes to the range all the fucking time. How hard can this be? I just got to find somebody that's, a little bit stupid between the ears, and I can make this work. And as it turns out, it is not that fucking easy with that crowd, dude. These people, the gun crowd, for all their faults, they do take the shit pretty seriously about, hey, man, don't fuck around, dude. Here again, most. Because there are, like, those dipshit FUD fucks that are out there walking around with, like, doing the fucking Hawaiian shirt through the center of town thing. Cold dead hands, brother. Like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that's some amateur night shit. I'm talking about normal, sensible people. But these trannies, bro, when a grasp of reality is not especially your cup of tea, you know what I mean? It starts to become a little bit obvious, like, who is the weak link here? Who can I probably ply to persuade to do some shit that other people probably won't do? And the list gets short quick, dude, where it's like, okay, I guess it's you there, Cinnamon, or what the fuck ever. So I don't think it's a big stretch to say, like, if somebody says, like, oh, it's Mossad, it's like, you're thinking of it fucking backwards. If you're thinking of this in terms of, like, they got some guy at the Mossad training facility, and he's practicing sniper shots, and he's in the mirror trying to cultivate his, regular Joe incel look. It don't gotta fucking work like that. Like, the better option, if you can, like, don't do the shit yourself. Get some other guy to fucking do it. Right? So if you got to go to one of these fucking, you got to buy a furry suit. You're going to have to go to these parties. You're going to have to talk it up. You're going to have to pat this guy on the back. But then when it comes time to fucking get the guy to do a deed, this is where I think, you look at the kind of, I don't want to say incel because I don't know. Well, maybe the guy is, he's not celibate, but he's not getting any pussy. That's for sure. But where that kind of just loser, that low-level guy persona, because do you see kind of a pattern forming? Like when you look at the Gretchen Whitmer, the fucking kidnapping thing, you look at somebody like Lee Harvey Oswald, you look at like the spate of school shooters, like that fucking dipshit in Uvalde. Any of these people, there's a definite persona. Like you could see these people hanging out in the same clubs. Because there's a kind of a way that these people are. They don't have a lot of, how can I say, man? From the looks of them, they don't seem like the sort that have much of a social circle. They don't have many friends. They don't have access to much in the way of resources. Maybe they're very active online, but they don't seem to have a real solid grasp about the way that the world works or the way that the world is, or what makes sense, or what's realistic, or what's not. To them, like the fantastic and the fucking crazy and the what you would call insane is just as normal and just as viable as like, look, I got to get up and go to work in 3 hours. I don't have time for this silly bullshit, all right? I'm going to fucking cut you loose here. To them, they don't have a grasp on, what's, and I'm not giving them like some kind of get out of jail free fucking insanity pass. I'm just saying that, like, these people are fucking screwy. So, like, you look at these cats, fucking trannies, being trannies, any of this kind of shit cranked up on Christ knows what different medications. People that are like this, they're going to be more subject to suggestion. And when I'm talking, well, one, suggestion, and two, leverage. So you start kind of painting a picture of how this shit goes. And some of the bros in the chats, like one of the dudes, and I can't remember who it was, but like cats that have the background in the pickup artist game, it's the same shit. You're painting a reality, like you're framing reality the way you want it to be. So in the instance of like a pickup artist, what you're framing reality in is like, yeah, a guy who looks like me is very safe, very handsome, very attractive. It's completely normal to meet somebody that you just totally click with and go home with them right now. Like you're synced up. It's cool. All these little tricks of the trade. You're just changing the way that somebody thinks about the situation. With somebody like this, somebody kind of weak between the ears, the way that you're framing this is that like, look, man, this is how history is made. Brave people taking action. People stepping in there, doing what other people are not too sensible to do, not too sane to do, but what other people are too fucking scared to do, what they're too weak to do. I need a strong person. I need you. So you start pimping them like this, man, and you don't dump it all at once, right? And the way that when I taught some of this shit, the way that I framed it was that nobody becomes a crackhead overnight. Nobody becomes a heroin junkie overnight. You start small. Maybe you go to a party, right? Nobody fucking walks out there and is like, I'll suck your dick for crack. It doesn't fucking work that way. It starts fucking small. Maybe you heard this shit in a song. Maybe you heard people talking about it. Maybe you were in situations where this kind of thing was normal. Maybe you were in situations where a more casual drug use was normal. And then there was a deal where you were near somebody that was trying it, or you were at a very high-end party where somebody was trying it. And then you agree to try it once, and then you try it, well, not all the time, but once in a while. And now once in a while becomes more and more and more, and the next thing you know, there you are in the subway station, again, sucking dick for crack. So this is kind of the progression of this thing. And the way that I learned it was described as a progression of compliance, where you're starting with something small, something very small, like, hey, next time we get together, could you bring me this, that, or the other thing? And now, hey, could you pass me the salt, right? Small shit. Because if you think of like the most perfume prince motherfucker you've ever heard of, can you imagine sitting at, a dinner table with like, the king, and you're like, hey, bro, fucking reach and pass me that salt, please. A guy will look at you like you have 8 fucking heads. I'm the king, motherfucker. Get up and get your own goddamn salt. Like, I'm not doing shit for you. So asking something like that, that's not happening, dude. But some cats like this, they're a little bit weak between the ears already. So you're going to start small, asking them to do small things. Will you do this for me, do that for me, do that for me? Next thing you know, you're talking through these ideas. Bro, can you get his schedule for me? Could you think you go and look at some stuff? What do you think, man? I need somebody brave. And maybe you even bring him in on the idea that like me and you, we're working as a team. We need to find somebody brave. We need to find somebody with the balls. We need to find somebody who has the skills. Even if they don't have the skills, we need a fucking genius that can pick this shit up. Do you know any geniuses? And that kind of guy being baited with the idea of like, man, I could be somebody to this dude, man. I could be the fucking hatchet man on this guy. Trust me. Why don't I step up and do it? And all it takes is that little nudge of like, dude, what do you think, man? Maybe you could do this. As soon as you get a little bit of commitment, now the step is to start dumping resources. So in this case, it's a little bit weird because, like, according to this situation, this guy already had the rifle and so on. So I don't know, maybe the ride, I don't know what the ride was, if he drove there himself or somebody dropped him off. Apparently he did make a phone call after. But it is kind of interesting, the idea of, like, what else got dumped into this guy? Was it money? Was it training? Was it even like alleged resources? Like, we're going to have a bunch of people on the ground. A lot of people are running cover. A lot of people are in on this thing. We don't know if there was other people there that just didn't say shit. Maybe they were supposed to jump up and start doing something or start shooting off cap guns or something, and they just sat the fuck still. There's no way you can fucking know. And again, this is all hypothetical, dude, because I wasn't fucking there. I'm just telling you what a possibility could be. So you tell a silly motherfucker like this, they're like, look, we got people on the ground. People are behind you. People are dedicated, dude. But I got to know, man, that like we're not wasting time because some people could get burned on this. Guy's going to jump out with a fucking BB gun or a fucking squirt gun. Like, he's kind of putting his life on the line too, dude. So I need to know that you're fucking down for this cause. Oh, yeah, dude, you can count on me. You can count on me. And this is how it snowballs into some kind of a thing. Because, I mean, if you think about it, have you not ever been in a situation where you're like, fuck, dude, I can't let these fucking people down. Like, I don't want to do this thing. I don't want to go to this thing. I don't want to help this guy move. I don't want to take this fat girl to dinner or any shit like this, where it's like it's some shit you don't want to do, but, things have been put in place. People have made commitments. And now you're like, man, I kind of have to. It's kind of the same thing. It's just a much bigger scale. But to these people, like, they're not able to understand the difference between, look, this is what's normal and what's acceptable. This shit over here, this is fucking nuts. Somebody's asking you to do this. Do not fucking do these things. So whether or not this happened with this particular guy, I couldn't honestly say, because I've seen as much as you have at this point. This is just when I see this shit and I see the same kind of a feel where it's some kind of a dipshit, kind of a loser, kind of a degenerate, not a real firm grasp on reality. I got to start thinking like, well, dude, it looks the same. It acts the same. Why is there a fucking pattern here? If this is random, why is there a fucking pattern, But on the outskirts of this thing, obviously, every Hebrew on the planet has been quick to jump in there and kind of try to take up the crown. Ben Shapiro, and I can't remember who the fuck else, just Ben Shapiro was the one that really caught my eye. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Obviously jumped in there to say, oh yeah, I'm gonna take over for him. I'm gonna pick up his crown and march on, and we're gonna support Israel, and we're gonna obviously, like Rabbi Shmuley. I want to say Ben Shapiro, but I think there was another Jew that came out right away and like, oh, we need to get a GoFundMe going for this guy, and then it's going to go actually to me, and I'll handle the funds and make sure that it gets where it needs to go. Goy, I'm your fucking friend here. As you might expect, they're grabbing away. But the really, I don't know, how can I say, like the really stylish part of this thing, in my view, is the way that they have managed to spin this one fucking thing into an absolute win-win on either side of it for both Israel and for Jews in America. It is fucking nuts. Because if you've listened to any of this shit at all, and like you hear Nick Fuentes, and I honestly think, Nick Fuentes he's getting some good takes, and he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's well-spoken. But if I'm being completely fair, I think he thinks of a lot of this shit like a young guy. Like, I don't think he completely appreciates the money and the resources and the ability to come up with some wazoo shit that these Israelis have at their disposal. I mean, they have been hustling and conning for, 3,000 plus years. Yeah, I mean, they've been at this shit a while. They're pretty fucking good at it. So when you say, like, nah, there's no way Mossad had a hand in this, like, well, that's kind of presumptive, my friend. But he did have a good point, and, well, he did put out a good talking about how much Israel did, in fact, need Charlie Kirk, insofar as sympathy for Israel among young people, so like your Gen Z people under 30, basically, is like non-existent. People are like, man, get fucked. Like, even not just a totally antagonistic vibe like we have, but more like, dude, I don't really know about your thing. Times are hard at my house, so whatever you got going, dude, handle it. Don't come to me for fucking handouts, though. Nobody gives a shit. So they really needed this dude. The problem here is that there are some arguments that they were starting to lose their grip on old Charlie Kirk. It appears that at one point the Israeli government, and they say Bibi offered, but I don't know if it was actually him or through him, but for whatever mechanism, through the Israeli government, was offering Charlie Kirk $150 million that would essentially double the TPUSA budget. So he made this offer because they need the fucking guy, right? But he refused. So now, looking at that, you got to kind of weigh the risk of like, okay, well, he's not into it, man. Do we just try to manage him? Do we try to strangle his finances? Or do we just pull the plug on the fucking guy? Me and you, like a normal person, would say, well, look, dude, if you try to smoke him and you fuck this up, like, people already don't like you. But if you do this and you fuck it up, you stand to be in a bad fucking way. So maybe think twice about that. That is a strong argument. On the other hand, looking at how this has played out, you kind of got to say, like, well, if they did do it, they made a pretty good move. If they didn't do it, you could almost say they really missed a golden opportunity, because things have really gone their way as this thing has played out. And here's what I mean. So Charlie Kirk is out of the way. The last kind of public vibe he was putting out was, oh yeah, I stand with Israel, support Israel. Israel is in the right. Fuck these Palestinians. Fucking support Israel. They need money. They need arms. Yes, give it to them. I support Israel. That was his last kind of public facing, like his overall big picture. This is where this guy was coming from. Since he has been gone, like all of the kind of I'm not so sure anymore type shit, that shit has been swept under the rug. And your Ben Shapiro, all these other fucks have come out and like, yeah, all these people, badmouth and Charlie Kirk, he was a close ally of Israel. So when you badmouth him, you're badmouthing us. And you're like, wow, that's really fucking something. But now on the flip side of this is you look at the people that are talking about, yeah, fuck, I'm good. I'm glad he's dead. I don't give a shit. And in the aftermath of this, like your Trump and this, and who the fuck knows if this will stick, but apparently has come out saying, yeah, this Antifa, we're designating this a terrorist organization. And if you're not familiar with Antifa, you need to be, because this is not just college kids in black hoodies running around acting like fucking assholes. This is a well-funded, well-organized, well-oiled fucking riot machine. This thing has been up and running since the 30s in Europe. Like this was like an like the fucking name says, right? Anti-fascist, prominently Jewish organization running in Germany in the 30s, made its way over here. And whether or not they're directly linked, like there's a proper heritage there, I couldn't say. But they do operate in a lot of the same ways. A lot of rallies, a lot of marches, a lot of violence, a lot of attacks, a lot of assaults. I mean, there's no real other way to say this than except that, like, these people are fucking terrorists, dude. They go around and they're telling you, like, you can't say these things, you can't do these things, you can't be in this place, you can't express support for this person or that cause, otherwise we will beat your fucking ass. Or we will dox you, and, they come and show up someplace and start rioting. When they get arrested, they've got lawyers on standby. They got the number written on their fucking arm in magic marker, so they're like, yeah, I need to call a number. Get on the phone and like, hey, dude, I got arrested, get me out. And now they're all fucking bang, 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 bang. They're just getting fucking popped out of jail. So it's like, yeah, this is a fucking, by any definition, a terrorist organization. And I did hear today that they were talking about pursuing this through an avenue of RICO charges, which is kind of the same way that they went after like the mafia, the same way they went after biker clubs. And kind of the in and out of the RICO statutes is this is racketeering in criminal organizations. And the concept behind this is when, like you yourself, you go and you commit any crime, they're like, you, Coffee, you did this fucking thing, money laundering, pimping, right? Selling liquor out of the back of a truck, whatever the fuck it is, you're committing these crimes. It's, you're doing this thing. But when you're doing it in coordination and for mutual benefit with another individual or an identified group, like, and even if you don't have, and it says right in the fucking statute, like, it doesn't mean that you got to have, you don't got to be incorporated. You don't got to walk around town calling yourself the Sharks or some shit, right? You don't have to have a fucking jacket with your name on it. If you're a gaggle of individuals who works together towards common benefit through illegal avenues, and you've done it twice or more within 10 years, you are subject to the RICO fucking statute. So, when you look at it that way, it's like, well, yeah, that's fucking obvious, dude. Like, yeah, they've definitely done that. So it seems pretty fucking straightforward. The angle, though, that these Jews have taken is to say that, like, whoa, if you speak out against Antifa, which is a predominantly Jewish organization, composed of, support through professors, universities, lawyers, you're attacking Jewish people when you do this. So what's a trip is, like you see here, like they get you coming and fucking going, right? So it's almost like that movie No Way Out, dude. I don't know if you saw that. It's wild, dude. It's from like 1983 or 84 or some shit. And it's Kevin Costner. And the idea here is that Gene Hackman is a senator, and he's got this hooker. Who the fuck was? I can't remember that bitch's name. And it doesn't matter. So he's got this hooker that he's banging, but Kevin Costner, naval officer, ends up meeting this same hooker and starts banging her. So Gene Hackman is going like off of some trip. He comes over to her house, and Kevin Costner, who is banging his hooker girlfriend, is leaving at the same time. So he goes in there, and they don't get a real good look at each other. But they go in there, and this dude, Gene Hackman, is like, "You fucking whore. Who's this fucking guy?" She's like, "Fuck you." Ah. So they fight. He kills her, and now he's freaked the fuck out. So he goes and he talks to his aide, and he's like, "I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. I don't know. I saw this fucking guy. He looked right at me. He probably fucking saw me." And he's like, "Well, wait. We've been talking for a long time about how there's a Russian mole in D.C. What if he was the guy that killed her? What if he was trying to get next to you, get her to give information about you, but she declined, so he killed her? What about that?" And they call him Yuri. Like, what if the guy that was fucking her is Yuri? And he's like, "Well, I don't know, maybe." And they find out eventually that it's Kevin Costner that was fucking this guy's girlfriend, and they happen to know each other through whatever, the Pentagon or some shit. And they're like, "Well, wait, so hold on." His aide is the one cooking all this shit up, and he's like, wait, though. If we know that Yuri was the one that killed her because he was, fucking her or trying to work her or whatever, if we know that Yuri is the one that killed her, and we know that Kevin Costner was also fucking her, then it's pretty simple. Kevin Costner is obviously Yuri." And they're like, "Oh, that's fucking brilliant." But then, like, plot twist at the end, it turns out he actually is Yuri. And he's like, "Oh, fuck," and he has to haul ass and go get picked up and go back to Mother Russia or whatever, which I thought was, and it's actually a halfway decent movie. It's got like a good, almost a Hitchcock kind of a feel to it. But this Charlie Kirk thing, though, man, it's like the same fucking thing. It's like, oh, you killed Charlie Kirk. You killed a right-wing voice. You killed the voice of support for Israel. That means you're anti-Semitic. And who killed him? Well, we think, Antifa supported it. They're out there talking about it. But if you oppose Antifa, you also oppose Jewish people. And so, by extension, you're anti-Semitic. So pretty much everybody everywhere is anti-Semitic. If you say anything at all about this thing, you're now anti-Semitic, which I find pretty fucking slick, but then I also find a little bit tiresome. And what I think is hilarious is that the fucking mustard is starting to come off the hot dog. Like, this fucking Netanyahu went to Congress the other day and got a fucking 4-minute standing ovation. 4 fucking minutes. I don't know how many standing ovations he got, throughout the rest of his little talk there. But, I mean, North Koreans don't give that many standing ovations. You know that whole deal of, like, don't be the first motherfucker to stop clapping, man. They'll snatch you out of there and you'll be dead before the fucking party is over. Like, motherfuckers are up there clapping their asses off, but they're not doing it for 4 fucking minutes. They fucking get at it and like, "Oh, he's so great, he's amazing," and then they fucking stop. And then he talks a little more, and then he do this shit again. But this business of like 4 fucking minutes just chugging this guy's nuts, it's like, this is fucking embarrassing. But I do like that people are noticing. I mean, we've been noticing this shit in varying instances for years. But regular people, I think they're just starting to figure out, they're like, "Hey, I feel like something's not quite right with this Netanyahu guy." Like, "No shit, do you think so?" So, I don't know, man. We'll see. And, dude, I've still looked at, like, maybe there's some places a guy like me could wedge way in there. At this point, man, I honestly feel like it's just, I don't see us voting our way out of this shit. These motherfuckers, they want to fight. They wanted to fight. First, they wanted to fight with fucking China. They wouldn't give it. They wanted to fight with Russia. Russia wouldn't fight. They want to fight in fucking, down here in Venezuela. Venezuela's like, "Yeah, no, I'm not doing it." They wanted fucking Iran. Iran's not interested. So now it's like, "Oh, you can't fucking fight any of those guys. We'll just fight each other." How's that sound? Like, fuck yeah, great, cool. So now they're kind of pushing this Civil War flavor again of like, you hate them and they hate you. Yeah, obviously you guys hate each other. You hate each other. You're both anti-Semitic, but don't forget that you hate each other. I'm like, God damn, dude, this is fucking tiresome. So, I don't know, man. My short-lived idea of like, yeah, dude, I'll go be fucking fake Democrat. Coffee, Congressman Long, Democrat. Yeah, that'll fucking work. Anyway, man, I'm going to take a break for a second. I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Marcus. Once again, I'm still too fucking lazy and slow to have some proper intro music cooked up, but I'll get it. I promise I will. I just haven't yet. So until then, here's a little fake fuck coffee intro music.
Hello, you rascals. Oh, take me back to a time where being called rascal was an insult. You fight a duel. Thou hast called me a rascal. Or seeing a girl's ankles, you have to frantically rush home and jerk off. Unreal, dude. Imagine if these people could see, I don't know, Buffalo, New York, 2025. Unreal what this fucking world has become. But I just wanted to remark briefly on the Charlie Kirk situation. I feel compelled to do so. And on the one hand, I have no idea what Charlie Kirk's perspectives were on anything, except what I've seen floating around, on social media. I've never heard a single word of Charlie Kirk. I don't even know what his voice sounds like. I don't read his content, and that holds true for a lot of these people. Shapiro, Matt Walsh, I don't know, a lot of the people I've never heard of them. They've never been relevant to me. I didn't really go through the normie to Nazi pipeline at all. I was a Nazi and at times a skinhead in my youth. And then I lived abroad for a long time and spent a great deal of time with white activist groups and whites in other parts of the world. And then I came back and just gradually became more extreme in, particularly focusing on National Socialism to the exclusion of other authoritarian kind of collectives, I guess you would say. But, for that reason, I can't really say much. I mean, I know, on the one hand, I know he was super pro-Israel. I've seen it. He was talking to rabbis before, the day before, because he wanted to defend Israel. On the other hand, I've seen quotes of his circling around that are completely compatible with my worldview about blacks, about Jews, about white replacement. So, I mean, one thing he certainly wasn't was a Nazi. So in that regard, I see him as an enemy. I'm not going to lie. I would see him as a race traitor enemy, personally. And I think the reaction to his death is so hard to analyze because there's so many potential motives and so many motives just all around both the event and politics of the day and the murder and everything else. It's really hard to judge it because it's going to mean something different to every person, right? Like a super far right, a super extreme far right would probably say something like, well, he was a race traitor. He should have been killed. It's good that he got killed. I don't like how it happened, but fuck Charlie Kirk, right? And you see that floating around social media. And if you kind of slide down the spectrum, right, just I guess the more milquetoast Nazi is like, well, he was a white. I feel a tribal bond to him. Didn't like any of his current views, but it looked like he was going to reform. I feel bad for for the wife and the kids, but we got to make this count as a political moment, right? And then you go to like normie conservatives, where it's the absolute end of the world, biggest disaster. He's a martyr. He's the savior. Build statues of Charlie Kirk, fly the flag at half-mast. He sacrificed himself for freedom of speech. Going down to the Democrats, who are just going to probably say, I didn't agree with his views, gun violence, we need gun control, down to the more extreme left, not quite the communists, but pretty close to the communists. Oh, he was spreading hate. It's horrible that he got killed. We need gun control, but it's totally understandable. He shouldn't be allowed to say things like that. And, although I feel bad, it's kind of like, fuck around, find out. And then you have the real extreme Marxists, the communists, Bolsheviks, who are like, fuck yeah, this is great. Let's go kill the other ones, like blah, blah, blah. So there's no, how you feel about it is just going to depend on where you are in the spectrum, right? The political spectrum, not the artistic spectrum. Important to point out in this crowd. But yeah, so I don't really have a judgment on it. I have no idea who he was. He seems like the kind of guy I would detest in person. I'd probably be disagreeable and aggressive which is my nature, and especially against people like him. He does not look dangerous. I would pick on him, but that's beside the point. Like, I can see. I feel bad for him because the things he's been saying recently, anyway, does show he was starting to, at some level, see how shitty the stuff he was saying actually is, and I think a lot of that had to do with Gaza. And my conspiracy theory is he wrote this letter to Netanyahu. Netanyahu said it was all, oh, Israel's so great. I think he wrote the letter saying, you got to stop this shit in Gaza. And maybe that's linked to his murder, but that's my tin hat theory. I think, the real important question, and again, I'm really not that into politics. I'm a simple man. I am a racist man. I am a white supremacist. I'm a Nazi. I just want all whites to be racist. I want white national unity. I want national socialist governments, as whites had for all of human history until, the 1850s or whatever, or maybe 1800s. Date's not important. Because I don't really have a personal attachment to this guy, I tend to see it in a very utilitarian, very pragmatic sort of way. And the question I would ask is this going to make whites more racist? Really, that's all I care about. And I think it will. I think it will in a roundabout way, which is weird to say because the shooter is white and, there's no real race involved. But I think what it will prompt normie conservatives to do, all right, so the MAGA people, they're gonna, okay, we just had that tranny shooting at the Catholic school. We had that race crime in wherever it was, Charlotte. Now we have this guy, white guy, tranny girlfriend shoots my hero, Charlie Kirk, thinking as a MAGA person, right? What ideology causes him to do this, and what's with the tranny thing? Like, why is the tranny shooting the school? Why is this guy with a tranny? Like, how does it all link up? And you can't really look into those things for too long before you're exposed to the contrary viewpoints, which is Nazism. You can't look at transgenderism and liberal democracy for very long before you're exposed to communism. And you can't look at communism for more than 2 web pages before you're exposed to Nazism, right? So in a roundabout way, I think it will expose a lot of whites to Nazism. And that's really the most important thing because Nazism is so logical. If a person looks at it with an open mind, it's hard not to be persuaded by it if it's presented properly and truthfully. So I'm hopeful in that regard. I'm hoping that, people will think, well, what's with this fucking crazy murder, killed Charlie Kirk? I got to find out why. I'm scared. I'm a 36-year-old dad. Like, why did this shooter do it? He's a tranny, he's a commie. What does this mean? What are you talking about? This transgender institute in Weimar, Germany. Oh my God, they did all that. Wait, those are the books that Hitler burned? Wait. Hitler did that. Hitler's the bad. That's the kind of thing I'm hoping happens. But we shall see if it does. And then I try to think of it from just a Democrat's eyes, a liberal, modern Democrat, white woman, and I think she's 25 or whatever. She works at a law office, just like your normal kind of urban liberal gang, right? And there's a lot of them. There's almost as many as the MAGA people, right? I don't know if they're all, as many are white, but there's a lot of these people. I'm around them all day, every day, right? How are they going to see that? And is it going to bring them closer to us? And I think in that regard, the Charlie Kirk thing in particular is a little less important than the whole overall context. Tranny killing, nigger killing, I guess, what do you call them? Lover of a tranny shooting? They're going to start thinking, well, shit, dude, like these people are taking it way too far. Like, I want abortions and stuff, but I'm not down with like murdering people. And, I think it's going to put the brakes a little bit on their spiral into liberalism, which is good, at least as a remediation sort of temporary fix. And then the murder itself, I think it's going to cause them to really think like, do I want to get involved with this level of confrontation with my political enemies. And I think they don't. I think a lot of them will kind of slowly pull out of the liberal hive mind. Maybe move. I don't know if they'll just become silent people or if they'll move towards the MAGA end. A lot of these girls, I mean, and the guys, I can't ever see them going to like conservatism. I could see them potentially going to Nazism, but the conservatism thing is like a cult. It's like it's a brainwashing thing because it makes no sense prima facie. You know, it's been doing its policies for 100 years. They've all failed, and yet it insists that it works, right? So a logical mind cannot become like a Republican. So I don't know. It might have some corollary benefits on the Democratic women. And then finally, how are the communists going to take this? And I think that's hard to say. I think a lot of communists will freak out and draw back a little bit, saying, "Okay, it's all fun and games, but this is a little too much," and they'll become, Democrat liberals and kind of pull out of the whole communist scene. Oh, I guess we should also think about Jews, Thea. And I don't know. The Jews are so complicated. I think they're probably sad that they lost a mouthpiece, but they're also probably very scared because he was their entry into young people, brainwashing young people to be pro-Israel. And I think the irony of their putting Ben Shapiro as the head of Turning Point is not going to help that. I think a lot of people a lot of the young people who like Turning Point are going to be in that first category of people I was talking about, where they start looking at what is this actual ideology where this guy would fucking murder someone just for, not having the same opinion. And I think it's going to radicalize more them against Israel. Maybe not become Nazis, but they're going to become either Palestine people or anti-Israel, which is good for us, right? So, there are very few outcomes where I can see this not working to our advantage. The big problem, of course, is gun control. Are they going to bulldoze a bunch of gun control stuff? Look into it, try to, I would say to people, be safe, always be legal. It's not worth the risk. It's never worth the risk. Always be legal with firearms. But there's a lot of creative things you can do and a lot of creative services and, custodial services where you retain ownership, but someone else possesses the gun. There's always, of course, a fucking chest and a shovel. But the most important thing of the whole event to me is that there is absolutely and measurably an escalation in violence happening, right? I mean, we've had these shootings. By the way, there have been a bunch of other shootings that in normal news, I guess you would say, just at schools and malls and everywhere. There is a tangible, measurable increase in violence, and it's escalating too. So the violence itself is more than, punch in the face game. It's like, sweeping shootings at malls or political assassinations. There is an escalation of violence, more rapid, more extreme. And for people who pray daily for social collapse, Mad Max, Rahowa apocalypse, you look at this with hopeful eyes and wonder, is it the end? Are we there? Is it going to be civil war? Are we at the Turner Diary? But that is very unlikely. I've studied failed nations my entire life, and complete social collapse basically never happens. When as a nation fails, essentially life just becomes very difficult and things don't work and everyone gets poor, except for a few people who get really rich, and it's just miserable. And then there's a regime change. And who knows? There's just a series of regime changes. It's hard to be not failed once you've failed. So not to be a black pill. But actually, speaking of black pills, I think Devin Stack described this escalation very well. He uses the metaphor of a leaf approaching a drain. And he says, going from peace and prosperity to a collapsed state civil war hellhole, it's kind of like a leaf approaching a drain where it's slowly spiraling on the extreme edges of the circle. And every little spin, it gets just a wee bit closer. And then as it approaches the drain, it's a little bit closer. closer, until it's going, full speed of the vortex sucking it down. And what a beautiful metaphor that is. That's exactly how it works. Look at it in Nepal right now. And, I would just say, with this whole Charlie Kirk situation is that all of this recent violence works to our advantage, specifically to the advantage of white supremacists and Nazis, right? It's the trannies, it's the niggers, all the violence is on their end. And even for purely strategic reasons, even if you are a Mad Max Rahowa appreciator, the best thing you can do is just let them keep doing the violence until public will shifts greatly. And then, you're in a different scenario. But yeah, for me, I guess the main thing is the escalation, the frequency of the violence, the effect that's going to have on normal people who, they fucking work at a telecom company. Maybe they have some, I don't know, nail painting chain, just normal people. They're making whatever, 50 to 100 grand. Is it going to open their eyes to anything that might work to our advantage? And I think it will. I think it's inevitable. I don't think it's going to, radicalize everyone. Certainly not. But as these become more just, unignorably violent, as they become more frequent, I think people will be more inclined to go down the Nazi rabbit hole. Well, you little niggers, I'm out of here. I'm Marcus, out.
All right. Thank you, Marcus, for some fantastic product. So to wrap this up, man, I wanted to give first, something that kind of had popped into my head, and it's something that I think about once in a while. It really rubs me the wrong way. And the deal was, somebody put in the chat, man, somebody put this meme, and it's talking about how crazy is it that there's all of these resources all over the planet, all over the world, and people are mining these resources and shipping them and moving them and refining them and combining them and doing it all in order to deprive someone like you of a chance at having a family and to breed as many as possible of the most useless, worthless, violent, stupid, fucked up, half human, half animals ever to walk the fucking earth. And I thought about it, and I'm like, man, goddamn, yeah. And I mean, I do think about that kind of shit once in a while because, I mean, if you go anywhere, you look at anything, everything now is like this kind of bastardized copy of something from before. Here's a thing that's just like a thing that they had in the 60s, and here's a thing just like in the Wild West or some shit. But I feel like back then, probably stuff that you would find is not a copy of some shit from before that, where they're like, hey, this is just like the thing they had in the 1600s. I kind of doubt it. Everything's just what it fucking is. Everything now is this broke-ass copy, and it's everything is so fucking crowded. Everything is so fake. Everything is so fucking cheap. And you look around, and you got to think, if you're thinking at all, that man, how long can this kind of shit go on? How much more can a planet or an ecosystem or any of this shit possibly sustain? How much more can it take, before the whole thing just fucking collapses? Because, I mean, you drive around, I've driven across the country a good few times. I'm old, that's what people do, right? Get in my fucking 50-something Chevy and drive all the way down Route 66. No, nothing like that. But, I mean, no, I've done more than a few cross-country trips, man. And it is a big fucking place. But when you start looking at, well, it's got to be a big place, dude. We got to grow a lot of fucking food. That shit has to get shipped somewhere. That shit has to get shipped on trucks. The people who drive those trucks have to live somewhere. Somebody has to fucking fix those trucks. All of this shit, that stuff, all that wheat has to get taken somewhere so it can get turned into bread. All of this shit requires space, and it requires people and all this shit. So when there's more and more useless people, how much more of that wheat, how many more trucks, how many more repairmen, how many more drivers, all this shit, how much more of everything do you need just to sustain somebody that's not going to do shit except stab you in the neck the first chance they get? And it's really, really frustrating to me. being old enough, yeah, like being an old fuck, me and a shit ton of other people, you look around all over the country and you can talk about, dude, things used to be like so. Yeah, like I used to be able to walk through this neighborhood. Like the house I grew up in, there's no fucking way that I would send kids to school in that neighborhood. I mean, a pair of white kids going to school in a fucking neighborhood I grew up in, like get the fuck out of here. Like the people there don't even speak English now. So, there's no way. And all these people, like tons of people talk about like this. Like you can't even go through the fucking town you grew up in anymore. Everything's fucking broke and run down. Things are going to shit. So it makes you start fucking wondering, like, how are people that are in any position to make a decision on this shit, how are you not seeing this? How is it not apparent to you that, like, all right, dude, we tried the thing with, like, just send them to school and things will work out. We tried letting Shlomo be in charge, saying that, like, oh, boy, I love working, these systems and I help things run smoothly. Okay, that's obviously not happening, though. You're not good for being in charge, and the system you put in place where Tyrone over here gets free college and a free house and I pay for it, all we end up with is he has 5 baby mamas, a list of felonies, and now I'm paying for all of those too. This shit of like, yeah, let's truck in everybody from the third world and they'll get here and suddenly they'll all become fucking scholars and doctors and lawyers and engineers. And we've been trying that for fucking decades. We tried it. Other countries have tried it. And it is fucking, like, it's not only failed, it's failed catastrophically. But it makes you wonder, like, how is nobody in charge looking at this and saying, dude, this just hasn't worked? How does nobody have the fucking wherewithal? I mean, it's not a brave statement. You're not standing up like, screaming against the tide to like, this isn't working out, I don't think. Like, this, no shit. Yeah, clearly. So it's not a brilliant fucking observation to say, like, well, yeah, what we're fucking doing so far here, this hasn't fucking worked out. But nobody does it. And it makes you ask the question then, well, like, wait a minute, I guess. Is it that you don't see it? Is it that you're scared to say something? Or is it that this is part of the fucking plan? Because you've heard that thing, like, if you don't know if you're in this club or you're playing poker and you look around the table, you don't know who the sucker is, it's because it's you. So when you look at it this way, then you start thinking, well, why would these motherfuckers want to do this to me? Because you're the only threat to them. If they get these fucking imbeciles in here and they can get white women to breed with these fucking simpletons, and you get these little frizzy-haired mulatto children, they're not that bright, but they're not as stupid as their dad, right? They can at least show up on time. Any of the men who are going to do anything are fucking broken or marginalized or they're sent off to war. And now it just becomes a whole lot easier. So it's like, and I think I've mentioned this before, but like you see that little all-seeing eye pyramid deal. It always struck me that, like, it's not a pyramid with just something different at the top. It's a pyramid where, like, us up here, we're in charge. Like, what's up here? Why is up here so different from there? And why is it that there's a very clear space between what's down here and what's up there? Because this shit does not apply to them. They do what they do, and they want to do it the way they want to do it. But what happens to you down here, you are the meat of the pyramid that makes that top part possible. But it doesn't work if you're going to be a pain in the ass about it. So what we need here are compliant bricks. Yeah, I need you to be a compliant brick. Do what I ask you to do. Just hold the fuck still. Just eat the bugs, goy. Live in the fucking pod, goy. Don't ask fucking questions. The problem with you is you keep asking fucking questions. And when I look at this, dude, it's hard to not see this as like, dude, you're doing this on purpose. And if I ask, why are you doing it on purpose? That is the only answer I can come up with. Is because I want you fucking destroyed. Exactly what that looks like according to different versions, it's really hard for me to say, man. I mean, it's the fucking version of like, yeah, just bring them in here, let them run wild and fucking rape and kill. That seems to work fine in Germany or something, because like Germans aren't going to break the fucking rules. So if you make the rules that like, look, these people get to come here and do whatever they want. That's the fucking rules. If you break the rules, you're going to jail. And it seems like, to their detriment, that the German population is like, all right, I'll follow the rules. I'm a rule follower. I'm here to keep order. I don't want to disrupt anything. Someplace like Sweden, I don't know, they're just so fucking mellow. Or I have heard one take that, like, they're just so fucking high-minded that they honestly believe that they are so much better than anybody else, that if you just get a chance to come here and live with us, that it won't be long till you're like, oh, you guys really have it figured out. I'll start living like you. That obviously has not fucking worked, but I don't know that they have any spine left to do anything about it. So, that's its own fucking mystery. But it just, looking ahead, dude, it's like, I don't see a way where it doesn't get worse. It's getting worse because they're fucking making it worse. You're like, dude, please fucking stop with this shit. Stop with the constant provocation. Stop with the constant egging on for fucking violence. Oh, this guy gets fucking shot in the neck. And it's like, well, let's have a big fucking talk about it. Look at all these assholes. They said it was fucking cool. Ha ha ha. Holy shit, you gonna let them do that shit? You're like, no, I'm not gonna let them do it. Well, you better not say nothing because then you're anti-Semitic. And now you're the problem. And now they're talking about like, well, we're gonna remove fucking passports from people that start committing hate crimes. What's a hate crime? Anything I say is a hate crime, motherfucker. So it's like, dude, I don't see how this isn't designed to fucking fail. Like, you want this to come off the rails. But in that sense, I guess it's a good idea to keep in mind the first rule of surviving the natural selection, surviving the evolutionary process, and that is to survive. Number one, survive. It ain't a fucking trick. There's a lot of these things where you get sucked in, you get baited to like, hey, come over here and self-destruct, goy. And when you look at, like, we all fucking laugh about it, like the thing with white women with mud sharking, it's like, are you this fucking stupid? Like, they're fucking violent. You see it. You see what they do on the fucking news. But you get it pitched to you constantly. They're like, oh, look, what a fucking great athlete. You got to sit through this shit day in and day out. Every fucking weekend, all weekend. Oh, he's a really intelligent player. Are you fucking serious? Like, you could have said anything and you said that, right? He's a really intelligent player. Oh my gosh, just incredible natural talent. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Run fucking on and on. And they fucking piggyback that shit onto some fucking Timbuk that they meet at school. And now the next thing you know, she's either shitting out a fucking Cheerios commercial or dead in a ditch. And we laugh about that shit, but then it's like, well, wait, how are they doing that to me? And now you got to start looking at like where you get egged on to like, hey, bro, go and pick a fight. Or, bro, be patriotic. Sign up for the military. Bro, do this, do that. Bro. And, or fucking worse, like, bro, be a big man and give a bunch of your money away. Bro, fucking help out a downtrodden fucking immigrant. Bro, fucking hide out in the woods so nobody can fucking find you and oppress you. All they're doing is pulling you out of the fucking gene pool, man. Just like they're pulling those chicks out with mud sharking, and we can laugh about that. The shit that we don't see is how they pull us out with these other mechanisms. And obviously one of these mechanisms that's beginning to emerge is like, bro, you don't got to stand for this. Like, yeah, we don't have to live like this. I understand. I also don't have to get killed in the process. So kind of the trick, I guess, and something I've been giving some thought to is how do you fucking survive, as the shit continues to escalate. And one avenue I've looked at and I've talked about before is ducking out and finding other places to hole up, other countries and such. It is, I will tell you, dude, that shit is not easy. I have put my back into it. I've made fucking phone calls. I've been in touch with people about like, hey man, what would it take? What does this involve? Probably, honestly, one of the easier places right now from the way it sounded was actually Russia on the shared values visa. And I talked about that, but it's a way of setting up like either a permanent or temporary residency in a way that leads to citizenship eventually. But the residency deal is at least one where you can't get snatched back. Like, hey, come back here. Like, you don't have a fucking way to stay there. Where are you going to go? You got to go home. Like, dude, they're going to lock me up at home. Like, I'm sorry. I can't fucking help you. Some other places, Argentina, but again, like places like Argentina, Paraguay, Mexico, obviously. Mexico, ultra violent. But some of these places are places where, like, I'm reading in mainstream news outlets that these are places where the Jewish population is beginning to congregate because, oh my God, I'm just so scared everywhere else. Like, fuck you, man. Like, there is no population on the planet that is more privileged than these people. But they're still talking about, like, oh, I need somewhere to hide out, goy. But it does also raise the question of, like, all right, well, is it better then to, like, maybe you hide out amongst them the way they've hidden out amongst us? Maybe that's an option. So something like a Paraguay and Argentina, not a Mexico because it's full of violent Mexicans, but you get the fucking idea. So anyway, man, the fucking search for that shit continues. But the other option that I was thinking of, the other thing that I was thinking of, component of that, is how do you save some fucking money? And I don't mean just like money, like, you know, fold it and put it in your fucking pocket. I mean like value, right? Because you go to work, you're busting ass, or maybe you have some things or whatever. You're storing up value. It's not the fucking paper that's going to get you anything. It's the value that people attach to it. But as you've seen in the last few years, like what you get for $1 has decreased. And everything they're talking about out there is that countries are starting to step away from the dollar, which will continue to decrease its value. And I feel like once it actually goes, it's not going to be a slow, steady decline. It's going to fall right off a fucking cliff. So where do you put your fucking value? I've heard a lot, and I have done a little and seen a little as far as like crypto. Crypto, very possible. And I mean, I'm not saying do or don't do any of these things. I'm just telling you shit that I've seen, some ideas, and people that are smarter than me on a lot of this shit. Dude, please fucking pipe up. Because I'll tell you what, dude, being old as fuck, like you do learn a little bit about a lot of things, but you start finding out that you don't know a whole lot about very many things. So there's some shit I know a lot about, but a lot of things I only know a little about. I like enough to be dangerous. So like this crypto situation, the thing I don't like is just the volatility where these motherfuckers can either hoard it or flood it. And now like the value of what you have in your hand is completely at the whim of these motherfuckers. I'm not super comfortable with that. I'm also not super comfortable with like, I don't know, at what point does the government figure out a way to say like, well, we own this blockchain now. And I know people will say like, no, it's public, dude. You can't own a blockchain. But I also feel inclined to believe the idea that, well, okay, you don't own the blockchain, but what if they say like, well, the process by which you access and move things around on the blockchain, that belongs to us now. Ergo, your fucking crypto is now our crypto. Nothing would fucking surprise me, dude. Absolutely nothing. So it's a big fucking question mark. So I don't know, man. One of the things I've been throwing some money into is some gold and some silver. I guess as I'm hearing it, gold is a little bit on the. Some people are saying overvalued, but I don't completely know. You know, when somebody says, "Oh, it's overvalued," you got to do something different. Well, sometimes you go with the opposite of what people are doing, and sometimes it's better to go exactly with what people are doing. So in that sense, where it is right now is that gold is, compared to silver, overvalued. Throughout history, there's been a parity between gold and silver where it's, such and such percent, and it'll fluctuate a little bit. Where right now, the gold side is totally lopsided. So whether that means that it stays like that, or whether that means silver suddenly catapults up, or whether that means gold suddenly dips, or if you're into some other fucking precious metal type thing, I will tell you that's where I have some money because it's like one thing that's always going to fucking work. I mean, you can't eat it, right? But, but if you get to that point, like, you don't need to be worrying about buying things anyways. That's what the bullets are for. But, yeah, it is almost universally valuable. So that's one thing you don't have to worry about. It's just the where's the price at? But consistently it's gone up, and if things get worse, it'll only go up more. So to me, that's one option. One other thing that I was looking at was, and I mean, dude, somebody smarter than me, maybe you chime in, but watches. Because I've seen like a lot of dudes that I knew that I'd worked with would buy a Rolex like after their first deployment or after their last deployment or when they retired or whatever. And shit like that, like luxury watches, is something that I had noticed, like, dude, these actually don't go down in value. And what's wild is like a Rolex will actually keep going up. Like, it's actually cheaper to get one from a dealer. But there's such fucking Africans about it. Like, if you contact a dealer, apparently, I actually reached out to one just to fucking see, and I was not disappointed. They're like, oh, yeah, sorry, we're fully committed on that stock of, whatever the fuck. But, we'll take your name down and we'll let you know. So I listened to a few things. I listened to a few talks, and all of it was like, yeah, these motherfuckers, dude, they have them. They're just hoarding them. They keep it artificially fucking scarce. So you can get them. Dude, I actually had one a long time ago. This dude, my ex-brother-in-law, and this dude was like, he was like a real G.I. Joe LARP motherfucker, and he owned a construction company, so he was fucking paid. And this was right after 9/11, so I was still like a superhero, but I was still a very poorly paid superhero. But this fucking guy was like, he was on my jock, dude. And like, I appreciate, like, thank you for your service or whatever, dude. I appreciate it. But then there's like another level of like, bro, check out this machete I got. Bro, would you ever like kill somebody with this? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? This guy was fucking screwy. But the last time I saw him, I think it was actually the very last time I ever saw him, he's like, bro, hey, I just want to tell you, bro, like, I really respect you, bro. I'm like, all right, cool. And he's like, I want to give you something, bro, if it's okay, bro. Here, check this out. And he goes to like this little, his like LARP cave closet, and he reaches up here and he pulls out this box. And I'm like the way these things come, there's like that green box they come in, but then it's inside a sleeve. So I saw this sleeve, and then I saw the green box, and I was like, what do I know from, packaging a fucking luxury watch? But he brings this thing out, and I'm like, no, that can't be a fucking Rolex. And he pops this thing out, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, dude. So this guy's giving me a watch. At the time, it was probably worth like, I don't know, $5,000 or something. Now that same watch goes for probably like $10,000, like $10,000 fucking dollars for this thing. And I'm like, God damn, dude, like, this is really fucking nice. And I ended up having to sell it when I got divorced. What a fucking downer, man, because I was so fucking poor. But, yeah, it was just something I had looked at. And I'd watched a little bit about it, dude, and it seems pretty fucking cool. So I don't know, man. I might study up on that a little bit or get some takes from the boys. But, yeah, somebody put in the chat the other day a German watch that I thought was real fucking cool, but I can't remember the brand of it, man. But it looked real fucking cool. I got to see if I can find that. Anyway, I'm going to duck out of here, man. I got to go to the store. But until next time, dude, I mean, keep your eyes on the horizon and keep your neck out of the noose. I've been Coffee. These are my takes.